Welcome to Diverse Orange, our conversations about diversity here in Central Florida. My guest today is Dr. Joel Hunter. Welcome, Joel.
I'm glad to be with you, Terry. It's an honor to be on the program.
Well, we're honored to talk to you. And you have been in this community how long?
Since 1985, I moved down from the Midwest.
All right, a little bit. I'll be here a few years more than you, just a few. Um, and from the Midwest, like small town, big city.
I grew up in a small town in Ohio and loved it. Everybody knew each other. Problem was, you had about everybody who was over 20 who was near you was your parent. They just took authority over you, so you never could get away with anything. But I tried.
And I'm guessing it wasn't real diverse.
No, it was just terribly bland. And I mean, we had no black people, no brown people. We had like one Jewish person, and she was my Latin teacher. And so when I went to Ohio University to do my undergraduate work, I immediately got involved in the civil rights movement because I had been brought up by my mother to love variety. She said, "Joey, if everybody is around you is like you, you're not learning anything." So anyhow, I finally kind of graduated from my hometown and have loved diversity ever since.
So coming to Central Florida, well, in '85, it was fairly diverse, but it's continued to grow in diversity here. What was it like coming to Central Florida?
Well, I loved it because of its diversity. When we first came down here, there was a realtor showing us around, and I said, "Now I want to be sure to not move into any segregated neighborhoods of any kind." And she said there isn't any. And I think that hedged the bets a little because there are always those that are predominantly separated by socioeconomic classifications. But all that being said, the first time Becky and I were in a store, I was in this line, and we were in this grocery store line, and I heard at least 3 different languages in the line behind me, and I turned to my wife and I said, "We're home." So we've loved it ever since.
Well, that's great. And you are currently working with the Pledge,
Mm-hmm.
and tell us about that, because that is definitely related to diversity.
Well, it really is. As I said, in the 60s, I was a part of the civil rights movement. So I was always had this heart for people who were being left out, especially those who were being threatened or harassed for who they were. And so when October 7th happened and there was an attack on Jewish people by a terrorist organization, and then the counterattack left so many people devastated. There was a Jewish philanthropist in town, Allen Ginsberg, who came to me. He had a business over there that had been directly, he lost several employees. Of course, this has been a battle that's been going on for 1,000 years in the Middle East. But we were seeing a rise in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia over here. And he came to me and he said, "Joel, I see a few responses, but I don't see a regional response. We need to organize our entire region, our community, especially the 3 counties in Central Florida, to make sure that kind of hate and conflict doesn't metastasize in our own community." And so, of course, we have had that before. We've had racism, of course, with the attack on in the Pulse nightclub. We had there was a LGBTQ threats and harassment. So basically, we said, okay, here's what we want. We want for all people to feel safe and to be who they are. But we not only want that, we want for all the rest of us to be with them if they're threatened or harassed. So it's a move of solidarity. So we've got this website, centralfloridapledge.com. We've had a tremendous response. We're coming up on 1,500 leaders and leading citizens now that have signed on, taking a pledge personally that says, I'm not going to be part of the problem. I'm going to be an example to my neighbors. I'm going to not speak in a demeaning way of my neighbors. If there is someone who is being threatened or harassed, I'm going to stand with them and support them. And I'm going to be educated. And on that site, we've got links for education in particular areas of bias, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, LGBTQ issues, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's just a movement of personal responsibility, but yet we want to create a character for our community where everybody feels not only safe, but that they belong, that they're valued. And so that's what it's about.
Well, certainly it's a step, and we've put up the Central Florida Pledge. Is that correct? CentralFloridaPledge.com?
CentralFloridaPledge.com, correct.
Encourage everyone to go there. And it's one small step to say, I read this and I assent to it and I put my name to it. Then the next step is to do something about that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Have you personally seen instances in our area, where somebody is being denigrated or?
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, I'm part of the board of the Holocaust Museum, and I've seen demonstrations of white supremacists in our area, and of course I'm really good friends with several folks who have been attacked for who they are, and they've undergone these personal incidents of bias. Not only Jews, but I'm good friends with Muslims who have had their headscarves ripped off, the women, and of course my very good friend Reverend Terry Steed Pierce, who's the pastor of the Joy Metropolitan Community Church, and is gay, has faced a lot of discrimination in her life, not just from the public, but from her own family. So yeah, through relationships, old white people we get yelled at because people are generally angry, but we don't experience the kind of suspicion and threat and kind of harassment that other groups do if they're minority groups. So it makes it even more obligatory for those of us who are in a majority group to make sure that anybody in a minority group has the sense that they're not alone.
Yeah. Well, Joel, I appreciate your consistent being a force for that, for taking your position of privilege and using it to help our community. So I thank you for joining me today on this conversation. And I thank those of you watching for watching this issue of Diverse Orange. Thanks, Joel.
Thank you, Terry.